States of America, where all the some of the action is, but there's action all over the place. Let's find out what's happening down south of the border. Antifa-linked group backs anti-Tesla activists targeting Musk. Again, a lot of these Antifa-linked groups, or whatever you want to call them, are all funded by the big players up top. And the big players up top are obviously creating damage and destruction. That's what their job is. So a radical illegal group tied to the Antifa movement has partnered with anti-Tesla activists protesting CEO Elon Musk's political alliances, particularly his ties from former President Donald Trump. The Civil Liberties Defense Center, based in Oregon, has been providing online training and legal support to demonstrators engaging in what they've dubbed as a Tesla takedown. Wow, a Tesla takedown. And again, I mean, I was pretty, Elon Musk shouldn't be in a position where he's barking around orders. You know my position on this from a long time ago, where he needed his funding, kept his mouth shut. Okay. And then fast forward, pendulum swings back. Now he's all over the place telling everyone what to do and how to do it. You should have said it years ago before the poop hit the fan now. Now the poop hits the fan and you're like, look at that. We shouldn't have those flags in classrooms. Free Tommy Robinson. We need to do this. You should have said it 5-10 years ago when it mattered. But now, basically letting us know what we already know. And it's really annoying. He should just stick to doing what he does. But again, follow the money. He needed the federal... All this stuff is federally funded. Whether if it's tax grants, giveaways, or whatever. Exempt credits, all kinds of green credits, all kinds of stuff. You follow the money, Obviously, he knew the pendulum was going to swing back. He knew they were going to investigate. That's why he's on top of DOGE, because he knew they were going to come back and check it out. Where's all this funding going? Who's getting all these grants? Who's getting all this money? Well, Elon's one of the biggest ones, right? But he's got to follow the money and make it look like he's saving the world at the same time, right? And, when you flip a legions like that, that's really weird to flip an allegiance like that. But, okay, and Trump plans to end federal funding for sanctuary cities. Now, I was in San Francisco. I think that was San Jose. I'm not sure. Seattle. I was in the sanctuary cities 2 weeks ago. I went for a long road trip around America and stayed about 2 weeks in a day, or 2 weeks and 2 days. I can't remember. But I was there, and I documented videos for you guys. They're up on the YouTube channel. You can see them if you'd like. I didn't see a single piece of trash. I saw maybe 1 or 2 bums on the whole trip. No potholes. I don't know what is happening, but I really walked the walk. I walked everywhere of these sanctuary cities. I didn't see any LGBT whatever stuff. I didn't see nothing. I didn't see no migrants. I didn't see no graffiti. The only graffiti I said, and I'm gonna say it again, is on the I-5 on the Seattle, on the underpass for Seattle. That bridge there with all the graffiti. That's the only graffiti I saw. I saw nothing else. And, so plans to end federal funding for sanctuary cities. So I'm not sure what they were funding in the sanctuary cities, because I didn't see anything while I was there. The article goes on to say, according to the president, sanctuary cities and jurisdictions, which he called death traps, will have their federal funding withdrawn. Go see my videos, guys. I was there. I didn't see nothing, man. I really didn't. And Border Patrol advisor, military taking over federal lands on border gives us extra charges to file against crossers. So yeah, if it goes into a different jurisdiction, then they get passed different laws. And if you want to read more on that, here is the military mission for sealing the southern border of the United States and repelling invasions. This is the White House document here if you want to go check it out for yourself. It's from the White House, and you could read it and how they will be sealing the southern border and what the military mission entails if you guys want to get in or want to know more of it. And a man charged with threatening President Trump, Elon Musk, and ICE agents. Well, the days are gone, guys. The days are gone where you could do this. Remember Kathy Griffin? Remember this? Yeah. Remember this? With Trump's head? Well, those days are gone. These days of this is gone. It's changed. It's not the same anymore. So, Buddy here, I guess in this article, felt that, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it because Kathy Griffin did it. But who the hell's Kathy Griffin? But anyways, there it is right there. People are misjudging the calibration of how far they could go. And 145%, Yahoo Finance reporting here, 145% tariffs on China are clobbering the toy industry. Now, you guys know I made a video how tariffs are destroying my toy store or my game store. And goods from China are being tariffed at a whopping 145% rate. And that number will likely keep growing as Beijing vows to continue retaliating against new tariffs, and Trump threatens to do the same. So it is hurting my business quite a bit, and I'm getting emails from my distribution company saying if you want to buy this, it's going to be an extra 100% or 125% if it has to go from China to America and America to Canada. So it's 125%. And we're to blame for this because we became too dependent on China that we can't even make our own damn toys in-house. We can't make our own anything in-house. And it's really, really sad that we can't produce, fabricate, and export our own stuff, right? Oh, no, hold on. Wait, whoa. Canada built real estate for Chinese money launderers to park their money. Okay. All right. We did something. We did something. All right, and let's move on here. Trump to impose major tariffs on foreign-made pharmaceuticals. I'm behind this 100%, folks. Why would I want to Why would I want to take pharmaceuticals from a country that basically is bringing in fentanyl and poisoning and the Canadian drug or American drug supply, from what I heard, Canadian and American drug supply, 60-70% of it is infected with or laced with fentanyl. Why the hell would I want to even take anything that's supposed to help me from China anyway? Right? Or India, or why would I take any of this stuff? Make it locally or become a natural path. Become a natural path and find your way around natural immunity, because that's the key, right? And Trump cancels Social Security numbers of illegal immigrants. And Trump administration is taking aggressive steps to combat illegal immigration by targeting the Social Security benefit system. Officials have begun adding illegal immigrants to the government's death master list, a database typically reserved for deceased individuals, effectively revoking their Social Security numbers and rendering them unusable. According to the reports, over 6,300 individuals were recently added to the list. This initial group consists of migrants who had been legally admitted under the Biden administration, but later lost their temporary legal status due to criminal convictions or national security concerns. While the current effort focuses on this group, officials have indicated that it could expand to include others in the country without legal status. So there you go. They're going to just keep expanding that list. And U.S.-funded anti-misinformation groups persist, raising concerns over censorship and bias. So you remember I was banging my head again from 2020 all the way to end of 2024. I was banging my head on the wall, figuring out what is happening. Why are all these new influencers that showed up last month, post-COVID 2020, 500,000 subscribers, 200,000 views per video? What is going on? None of it makes sense, and I dubbed it or called it or coined it CID, Controlled Information Distribution. Right? Controlled Information Distribution. It's something that I coined because trying to figure out how are these people allowed to say what we were saying years ago, but no one cared, but they're allowed to say it now and get away with it, or allowed to say something And then we got taken down for saying the same thing a year ago or 2, 3 years ago. And if I say it today, they still take me down. So how is it it's controlled information distribution? And this political promises to curb government-backed censorship. Several NSF-funded projects have continued under new names and broader missions. Now household within left-leaning institutions and nonprofits. It just goes on and on. Funded analysis report toolkit. They're being sent out. And rapid response system for journalists, EVT, was adopted by the activist group Right to Be, raising concerns about compromised media and independence. Man, critics warn these programs, despite claiming to combat misinformation, risk manipulating public opinion and silencing dissent. And this is never. Anyways, we've been on this for too long. We've been on trying to figure out this whole controlled information distribution for the longest time. Now we know who they are. There's about 7,001 Canadian influencers that was getting funding from the United States. And you know what the funny part is? These influencers are anti-Trudeau influencers that are getting this support. They're pro-Pierre Poilievre. If you're anti-Poilievre and anti-Trudeau and anti-everybody, you're not getting no funding. But if you're pro-Poilievre and you're anti-Trudeau, you're getting funding. It's weird. It is so weird. Anyways, let's move on. Desperate China pleads with EU to jointly resist unilateral bullying of Trump tariffs. And an increasingly desperate China on Friday pleaded with the European Union members to join with Beijing in resisting unilateral bullying posed by punitive tariffs introduced by the U.S. President Donald Trump. And so Chinese President Xi Jinping made the call and met with Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, the state agency. So they're reaching out to a lot. So what China's doing is it's actually reaching out to a lot of the members of parliament that it funded to get into power. So China's reaching out to these presidents that took the money from China, took the corruption money, took the black money, took the bribe, and now they are moving ahead forward with it and trying to, well, I gave you some money to get you, I own your telecom. China would say to Spain, I own half your telecom company, I own half your airlines, I own everything. What are you going to do for us now? So it's gonna get dirty real fast. Things are gonna get dirty real quick. And this is a very interesting one. Watch this. Judge relaxes ban on DOGE access to sensitive U.S. Treasury information. Okay, so they're gonna allow them, but watch this. Jeanette A. Vargas said in a written opinion late Friday that one DOGE worker, Ryan, can access sensitive payment and data system, okay, if he completes training that the Treasury employees typically go through before given such access and submits financial disclosure report. So if you want to do a forensic audit on where your government is spending its money, you're going to have to take this course right here. You're going to have to take this course right here that Treasury employees typically take if they want access to finding out what is going on with your tax dollars. That is nuts. So you go through the training and it says, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, and you must not do this. And guess what? They get nothing done. Because once the training is complete, it'll be like all the other Treasury members that are completely useless. And that have been useless because they've been lying to you. And that's where we're at right now.